Hey everyone, it's Tom Sidney Bushnell here again, aka Numbers, here to talk about Trumpology and everything that's happening right now. Just wanted to give a big shout out to Mr. Charlie Ward. We've been doing some great episodes together on his channel, and this will be on his channel again, so I wanted to say thank you to Charlie for everything. Thanks for Lee for making this happen as well. And just before getting to the main meat and bones of everything, I just wanted to say hello to Dodie. Dodie's a client of mine in Texas. We had a great session yesterday. And incidentally, about Texas, you might have seen it, some of you guys on Twitter. Some Tesla towers have been seen in Texas, and there's a great clip of a guy cheering and celebrating, driving past in his car, videoing it, and he sees the Tesla tower. Apparently there's a few of them down there, so things are happening, guys. We're into the Trump millennium. That's all taking place. And also, some of you may be first time here, so you'll see in the links below, I've got my channel, which is Psych Club, but there's a link to it, so feel free to subscribe. I put a few other little snippets out, but the main meat and bones I get to do with the great Charlie Ward on his show, which will be here. So thanks, guys. So I wanted to do a follow-up. This might be might be part one of a couple of follow-ups on this subject, because there's so much material to go through. But I wanted to talk about JFK. I did the episode with Charlie on Thursday, the 10th of September, and we entitled it a Return of a King. So if you haven't seen that, if you're new to this, I would suggest you have a look at that episode. And this one is going to be called JFK. JFK's resurrection happened. Okay, so he did come back, he is back, and I'm going to point that out to show people how. Also as well, just a brief intro, Trumpology, numerology. If you think of the first letter of the alphabet, it's A. Second letter is B. Third letter is C. Fourth letter is D, etc, etc, etc. So I'm going to be going through a lot of references and key markers that the Trump team have been speaking about in the last few days. But the key to everything is to know that Trump, T-R-U-M-P, so T is 20, R is 18, U is 21, M is 13, and P is 16. Okay, add those all together comes to 88. Trump 88. That's the key to everything. If you know that, and if you can listen clearly, and you can follow YouTube, and you can pause and see the times that they say words, you can figure everything out. Okay. So, the JFK resurrection, and it did happen, guys, okay? I, like many of you, might have been thinking there might be some really massive, big reveal. And in a beautiful way there was, but it wasn't obvious to I guess, the mainstream media and the mainstream public. But those that want to know can know for sure. So, the memorial service that took place on Friday, September 11th, it was to do with Flight 93. Now, Flight 93, we all know, was the plane that came down. They stopped it from hitting the towers. So, Flight 93. Those of you that saw my episode with Charlie on Thursday, I like to wear comms, so I wore just a plain Novi. Maybe that's a word as well. We'll add that one up, people. Send it to me on the comments. But maybe a reference to Novak, actually. Novak Djokovic. Actually, that's maybe what it is. Interesting enough, I'm just going to do a segue here. So those of you that have seen Tenet, Christopher Nolan's film, there's a piece in that film where it talks about balls in the throat. Okay? Think of two black balls, 8-8 pool balls, snooker balls. But another ball to the throat happened with Novak Djokovic, and we know that Novak tested positive, unfortunately. And then he did that swing, and it hit the judge in the throat, and he got disqualified. We are in the Trump world, people, ladies and gentlemen. We are in his world. I've said it many times, and I keep saying it. People will understand as the time goes on. We are literally in Trump's world. Trump is Batman, Bruce Wayne, Wayne's world, Trump world. We did an episode on that a few episodes ago. Have a look at that. So, going back to the memorial service. So I wore a navy polo neck, and Navy comes to 62, the value of 62. Okay, and I chose that because I wanted to talk about JFK following the next day on the 11th, and his the age that assassination happened in 63. Okay, so I chose the Navy for 62, i.e. the 62 comes before 63. But this is the beauty of this, guys. I wasn't aware of this consciously. Flight comes to 62. Okay, so FLIGHT comes to 62. 93 is incidentally my last name, Bushnell, Bushnell. That's that reference in the Bible talking about hiding your light under a bushel. Bushel without the N comes to 79, which is atomic gold. Add the N for Nasara comes to 93, Bushnell. Incidentally, I've said this before, but I'll mention it because it's JFK. I live in London, just next to Regent's Park, and just at the south side of Regent's Park, there used to be a JFK memorial. There used to be a bosque, quite a little bit like the Batman bosque in the 60s, when Adam West would kind of move the bosque and it would open the bookshelf, the cabinet, and they'd slide down the poles. President Trump likes to talk about poles, okay, and it'd go to the Batcave. But that's been moved, actually. It's been moved just around the corner into a university, a school campus. But just on the way to that, there's a road, just linking from the park down to the main road where the bosque of JFK used to be. And there's a person that owns a car. I think it's a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, but the number plate is 8 KF. Now the 8 is the black ball in pool. Also, my name Bushnell, we mentioned before with Charlie, and if Bushnell binoculars and telescopes are listening, hi guys, and the golf sight finders and the range finders for shooting, etc. So Bushnell is all into optics, and their symbol, their graphic when you look at their website is Bushnell, but the B looks like a number 8 ball. So I've noticed this obviously because my name is Bushnell, but JFK, when I saw 8FK on that lovely black car, literally a stone's throw from where the JFK bosque used to be, got me thinking. Okay, so I cycle past that quite a lot, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. So, Flight 93, okay. Also, my comms today are quite pertinent. This is a t-shirt I've had again for a while, but you'll see that it's Brooklyn, 1989, New York. Now look at the numbers on this, guys. So obviously I wanted to show this in terms of commemoration for 9/11, etc. And sending love to all those that were involved in that. So, Brooklyn. Well, actually, we'll do this first. 1989. So, 1989, you've got the 19, okay? So, 19 years ago, 2 days ago on the 11th, was when September 11th happened in 2001. Incidentally, Stanley Kubrick's film, Space Odyssey 2001, etc. So, all these things have happened, and that was actually 1968, I believe, and 68 is a key marker in this, which we'll talk about. But 19, so if you do 8, you've got 19 there, so then you've got the 8 and the 9. So if you do 8 plus 9, that is a marker for Q because it comes to 17. Incidentally, Princess Diana's funeral service started at 9:08, which is kind of a weird time to start anything, but it was 9:08. 9 plus 8 is 17. It was one of the first things that got me kind of along with all of this when we first went into lockdown. I just kind of followed my nose and intuition, and I saw that, and it got me into 17 and Q, etc. And all those things kind of happened at the same time and opened me up to everything. So 8 plus 9 is Q. But also, we talked about Return of a King, i.e. JFK. So 27 is Egyptian Trinity, kingship. And Joseph Gregory Hallett was the first one that let me know about that. And kingship, like I said, so it comes to 27, and JFK there's many kings, but JFK certainly is a king, as is POTUS, as President Trump, and there'll be others that will come forth with this. So 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9 comes to 27, which is the mark for kingship. Also, when you add up the word Brooklyn, that comes to 112, 11, 2. So you've got a nice reference there for Kennedy. So you do 11, 2, 2 times 11 is 22. So 11, 22, November 22nd, 1963 is when he was assassinated. New York. Okay, so the word new comes to 42, which is all about time reversal. 24-hour clock, 42 time reversal. I've spoken about that a few times in regards to Christopher Nolan's film, particularly Tenet at the moment. And then 69 is York. So that's all to do with Tesla. Tesla numbers 369, and we've spoken about Tesla already at the beginning of this. And incidentally, some of you will know that President Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, 100 years or so ago, was closely involved with Nikola Tesla in Manhattan, in New York. Okay, so it's Brooklyn, but New York, Manhattan. Manhattan's where I actually met Ivanka Trump on back in 2015. And my cousin Paul, shout out to Paul, he passed just a few days before I went to New York and met Ivanka, and I had an experience with Paul's birth date that got me onto this whole thing with numbers, etc., and the higher dimension. So I love you, Paul, cousin Paul, brother. But I met Ivanka, and also think of the Paul Bulls, okay, Bushnell Paul Bulls. All of this is going on, guys. So I'm just the messenger, all right, and I'm honoured and thankful again to President Trump and everyone involved in this. But Ivanka comes up to 58. So think of 58 is 29, August 29th, and also 29 is on, switching on. So Ivanka's all involved highly in all of this. So yeah, Manhattan, Brooklyn. So Brooklyn comes to that. But when you add Brooklyn and New York together, so New York, the word together comes to 111, which you think of 111. People start seeing 11s or 111 or 1111 everywhere. And President Kennedy's Silver Order, shortly before, not too long before he was assassinated, was 1110. So anything to do with those multiple ones is a reference to Kennedy's Silver Order, and we'll see some of that later again. Okay, so 112, which is Brooklyn, and 111. If you add those two together, that comes to 223. Okay, so 223 can be 3 sets of gold, because gold is AU. It also can be 22 plus 3, which is 25, which is a clear signal again. So the clear and loud signal, which can be 10, 5 plus 5 is 10. It can be 5 times 5 in this instance, which is 25, and it can be 5 and 5, which is 55, which is Melania's name. And incidentally, I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. On my Twitter, you can look at my page, which is my Twitter page is Tom Bushnell, so TOMBUSHNELL, and you'll see on that the main picture is myself and Ivanka Trump, the photo I had with her in 2015 in Manhattan. And I didn't notice this for a long time, but you'll see if you zoom in on the left-hand side over Ivanka's shoulder, just left of her shoulder, you'll see there's a golden 55. There's an office behind us, or a shop, maybe a designer shop of some description, 55. So it's right there, a clear and loud signal. And I hadn't noticed that for a long, long time, but I did notice it when we went through the Lions Gate and everything started to open up for everybody. The gold and silver orders that President Trump signed when he did the snooker, and the pool completion of those pool balls, and the snooker frame. 147 break, and then 3 pots of 8, 8, 8, 3, 8, 38, which is gold. So the early hours of the morning, or later that morning, lunchtime, on the Sunday the 2nd, I was looking out for everything, and we were still in 8/8 in the US time, and out by Alaska and Hawaii and Medway, etc. I've noticed I've got really big hands today, so oh well, it's just the loud and clear, guys. It's just the camera angle today. So, but yeah, the number 55 with Ivanka. So Ivanka, thank you, God bless, and the gentleman that took the photo, who was with her. I think he was one of her guards. He was kind of protection, but they were gracious enough to let me have the photograph with them. Okay, so that's all the comms on the T-shirt. But going on, so this is the main part. What I wanted to say was, okay, Friday, the memorial service with President Trump, and there was a few others there, and there was a I think he was a minister because he led them in prayer and he had a hat on, kind of like a ranger hat. I think he was, because they were talking about the parks, etc., and national parks as well. But they introduced a gentleman called Mr. Ed Root. Okay, now Mr. Ed Root, when you add it up, is 31 plus 9 plus 68, which comes to 108, which I've said before is millennium, Trump millennium. It's also Jack Edward Kidd. Hey Jack, love you, buddy. Also Spliffany, which was the thing that alerted me to this a week or so ago, maybe 10 days ago. There was a newspaper headline in the Sun newspaper, which is a tabloid here in the UK, and incidentally the ones that are kind of more tabloidy seem to tell us more truth. So they've done a play on words with, there was an actress, I think, or some person known, I don't know her, but her name was Tiffany, and I think she'd been doing a joint spliff. So if they made up this word Spliffany, anytime you see a made up word, that's the time to take notice. Spliffany adds up to 108, and incidentally Spinal Tap, the music group, etc., that comes to 108. But that's going to come up again. Well, it's come up now, but it's also come up at the end. But so Spliffany, Mr. Ed Root, Millennium. They introduced him, and then they introduced his wife Nancy, which is 43. 43 is connected to I Would, my grandmother. Love you, Nan. Nancy is 57. So Nancy's going to come up as well, that reference, 57. Root is 68. So when you add 57 plus 68, that comes to 125, which again, 1 times 25 is 25, which is a loud and clear signal. 5 and 5. 5 times 5. Also, if you go 1 plus 25 comes to 26. We've got 26 letters in the alphabet. We've got Z at the end. The Back to the Future movies have a great soundtrack. Particularly the third one has ZZ Top, Double Back Again, going back to the gold standard. All of that with the notes and money, etc. But also Z, Zim. It's not spoken about much, but Z for Zim, etc. is there. Zim actually comes up to 48, which is Tom, T-O-M, and also James comes to 48 as well. And a 5-5 is Jack. And so we're talking about also root 68 is Baron. And the stem and root of Jesse will probably come to pass in some point. The whole thing with Moses going on, but stem and root of Jesse, I think we're going to see more of that. Okay, so JFK, who is Mr. Ed Root, I'm just going to say that Mr. Ed Root is JFK. When you listen to his voice, you listen to the address, just listen to it, it's JFK. That's who it is, guys and girls. So JFK was introduced, and then at 25:38 seconds. So 25 again is a clear, loud signal. 38 is gold, and Mr. again is 31, and Edward is 55. So when you add 31 plus 55, that comes to 86. Okay, 86 is another marker it's a marker for other things, but one that I understand is Mexico 86 with the football. Maradona, the number 10, and number 10 is also gold because 10 on the 12-hour clock jumps up to the 22 on the 24-hour clock, and 22 is AU. A plus is 1 plus U, which is 21. AU comes to 22. And when Maradona famously lifted the World Cup, it was a golden trophy in 1986, and also he's wearing the Argentinian national team shirt, and Argento is Italian for silver. Now he's not Italian, he's Argentinian, but it's in that Latin vicinity, and Argentina, Spanish speakers, silver, so you can see the connection there. Okay, so the other thing as well, they introduced him as Mr. Ed Root, and then when actually, just before they got him onto stage, they said Mr. Edward. Okay, now if you look at Edward and Edward root, 55 plus 68 comes to 123, which again is silver and gold. Okay, when you add just 31 plus 55, again that comes to 86. Okay, so the Mr. Edward, when he was introduced as Mr. Edward, is 86. Then JFK, because he was there, the resurrection has occurred, he's there. He thanks a few people, and he says, "Thank you, Steve." He says, "Thanks, Steve." Now Steve comes to 71, and 71 is love. It's the hearts. It's on the deck of cards. So you've got hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. So hearts is 71. Now we're talking about it, I'll mention the others. So diamonds is 79, which is gold. Hearts is 71. Spades is 64, so 8 times 8 is 64, which is the highest, most powerful card, most powerful suit in the deck. And clubs is 57. Okay, so Nancy comes to 57. Incidentally, club, C-L-U-B, club, comes to 38, hence Sight Club. But I chose that before I was aware of all this stuff. So anyway, you can see how all this works. So he said Steve, and he said that on 25:55. So that was a double high five. It was a double loud and clear signal. So military terms, a loud clear signal is this. It's 5 and 5. So it was 25, 5 times 5, and then 55 is 55. Okay, moving on from there. So 71 plus 55 again comes to 126, which again is silver and gold. So that's 47. Atomic number for silver is 47. Atomic gold is 79. So 47 plus 79 is 126. So you've got the reference for 126, which is silver and gold, because when you spell the word gold, G-O-L-D, comes to 38. When you spell the word silver, it comes to 85. So 38 plus 85 comes to 123. Jamie Redknapp is a reference we gave before because of the newspaper with him a couple of weeks ago. If you look at the second episode with myself and Charlie, mentioned Usain Bolt and others, etc. The reference, how they're connected with Trump in all the numbers. Unfortunately, Usain's tested positive, but anyway. But I met Melvin Bragg last week when I bumped into my auntie Maureen, who I haven't seen for a long time. And then Joel came along on his bike, and he was referenced 42. That adds up to 42, time travel, etc. So Melvin Bragg, a broadcaster here in the UK, came along. 126. So 126 is silver and gold. So remember those two numbers when you get those. And also 126 is 1 plus 26 is kingship. JFK comes to 27. Okay, so you can see how this is going on, guys. 126 equals 27, JFK equals 27 equals silver and gold. Okay, a little more. So 71 plus, which is Steve and Hearts, plus 25, which was the minute it happened on, and 55 are the seconds it happened on. So 71 plus 25 plus 55 comes to 151. Okay, so 151 is, you can get 52 from that, which is 52 weeks in the year, etc. My mother's born in 52. But 151, 1 times 51 is alien. Okay, so alien reference, okay, to all of this. The higher dimensional technology that is happening. We're going through the Lion Gate. All these dimensions are connecting and raising Earth in every single way possible. Also, 51 plus 1 comes to 16, which is 28, which is 88, which is our favourite, which is Trump. Okay, so that all happened. A little later in the conversation, where in his address, he said article of clothes. Now, usually you would say articles of clothing because he was making a reference to all sorts of things, but he said article of clothes. So clothes comes to 98. Okay, and we know 9 plus 8 equals 17, which is Q. Okay, and he said that on 28 minutes and 43 seconds. So 43 goes back to his wife Nancy. 43 is reference to my grandmother Eileen. So 98 plus 43 comes to 141. Okay, so 141, again, I said before in the last episode with Charlie, I believe it was, 41 is actually also a reference to king. The word king actually comes up to 41, so K-I-N-G comes up to 41. The word alien comes up to 41, okay? So whenever you see that film Alien, you're also seeing king, okay? So also it comes to 42, so 141, so 1 plus 41 comes to 42, which again is time travel, okay? Sorry, time travel, yes, but time reversal, how they've been doing a lot of this. So that was said on that moment. Also with 141, you can get 15, which is my date of birth, 15th. But 15 is the number of increments. So they say that the wealth on the earth is 45 zeros worth, which is 45th President Trump, etc. But if you divide that by 3, because it jumps up, each jump in value jumps up. So if you've got a million and then a billion, trillion, they will jump up by 3 noughts. So if you do 15 into 45 into 15, it comes to 3. So 3 sets of 15 comes to 45. So 15 is another important number. And also, if you do 141 plus 28, because it was on 28 seconds, that comes to 169. So again, you've got 69 for Tesla numbers. Charlie's joke before, it's one of his favourite numbers. But 16 plus 9 is 25, which is again a 5-5. It's a loud and clear signal. And just in closing, I just wanted to mention these other parts. So also JFK1, Mr. Ed Root. It's great to have you, sir. He said the word badge. He just said badge. He was talking about things, but he just said badge. And he said that on 29 minutes and 55 seconds, which when you add 19 plus 29 plus 55, guess what it comes up to? It comes up to 103, which is his current age. He looks younger, but they've got the technology, etc. He looks an older gentleman, but he's 103. When you add 19 plus 55, that comes to 74. Now 74 is salmon, which I spoke about last Sunday when we kind of did the Sunday supplement a week ago when I was wearing the pink salmon t-shirt. And Trump that's his age, 74. President Trump's age is 74. The word Jesus also comes to 74 as well, which is interesting. Bearing in mind that President Trump comes from a line of Christ. His father's middle name was Christ. And Trump is showing that he's all these great characters on the board. All the way from Adam, all the way through up Moses, Noah, Abrahamic Accord, Noah's Gold, 38, etc. Moses going and visiting his brother in the Mount Sinai hospital. Adam, the First Lady, is Melania. Christ, he's been pardoning and forgiving people. And so that's all there with the number 74. And 47 is a reflection of silver. And there's that scripture reference where it talks about seeing Christ in the refiner's fire and silver and how it will reflect back to you. So seeing silver and seeing the reflection, 74 is Trump. Now, I know that might not be the easiest pill for people to swallow that have real strong convictions in faiths, and I understand that. I'm just the messenger, I'm just pointing these things out. But President Trump is all of these people. Time will show that and reveal that. And also, POTUS, another title that he goes by, comes to the value of 91. Okay, so the other episode we spoke about on September the 10th was all to do with September 11th coming the day after. We're now on the 13th on Sunday, but 91 comes to 11th as well. So POTUS equals 91, and the word 11th equals 91. So 91 is a reversal of 19, hence 19 years ago, September 11th. And President Trump, I won't speak about it today, but he did a great piece with, and incidentally that video was 1902, and then when you watch it, it was 1901 seconds. So 19, he's this update of the agreements with, and the peace offering, well the peace deals in the Middle East, all centered around Israel and Bahrain, and so that was taking place. And he also did a great piece of Trumpology where he referred to himself as Solomon. he said King Salmon. See the salmon thing, you can hear that with the connection, but he just said King Solomon, and he did it on either 25 seconds or 55 seconds, which was a clear signal that he's also King Solomon. I've said that before to friends, that he's all these great characters. So Solomon was wise, gold, and women. That's President Trump all over. All these great characters, so biblical and non-biblical, General Patton and I'm sure Hadrian's Wall, because of the building of the wall, Scotland is 88, etc. President Trump's family is on his mother's side come from the Isle of Lewis, which is up near Skye. Skye, the word comes to 55, not Skye in Scotland come to 60 because it's an E on top extra. But all these things, you've got the BT Tower here in Regent's Park. I was looking at it yesterday. I've seen it before, and obviously, and mentioned it in other tweets and in other messages to friends. But BT Tower, so B is 2. That's my first, my initial of my first, my last name, surname, B for Bushnell, and then T is Thomas. So that's 20. So B, so 22 is gold. But also 2 times 20 is 40. 40 is 2020. On the 24-hour clock, 20, bring it down to the 12-hour clock, it's 8. It's 8. So it's Trump Tower. That's literally Trump Tower. The BT Tower is Trump Tower. It used to be the Post Office Tower. Think of Post Office, the Postmaster General, etc. All that happening with the quantum financial system. But the BT Tower, we've got our own Trump Tower right there. Next to Regent's Park, Regent's is 88. So all of this is happening, guys. It's no coincidence. I'm blessed to be where I am in this location. Again, thank you, President Trump, for everything. So, what do we get to? Badge, salmon, etc. Also, just wanted to mention this as well, is platinum and palladium. So platinum, the word platinum comes to 106. It's the atomic number 78, which is the same value for Kennedy. So Kennedy is 78. And then the atomic symbol is PT, which comes to 36. When you add all those together, 106 plus 78 plus 36 comes to 220. So again, 220 can be represented by just 22, but also 22 times 10, 10 sets of gold, etc. So platinum is on the board. And palladium. Palladium is 89. Okay. And then you've got 46, which is the atomic number for it, and then you've got PD, which is the atomic symbol, so that comes to 20. All of those, 89 plus 46 plus 20, come to 155. Again, 1 times 55, a loud, clear signal. The other thing with 89 we spoke about earlier is here on the t-shirt, 89, so that's Q again. And it's just incredible how all of these things add up. And I mentioned before, in the previous episode with Charlie, that I met Adrian Charles, a sports broadcaster here in the UK. And Adrian, we actually met on Portland Place. Portland, President Trump spoke about this past week. Portland's, he said as well, in regards to burning is silver, 85. But Portland, so I bumped into Adrian. I haven't seen him for a long, long time. And his name is Adrian, which is silver, 47, and Chiles comes to 56. Chiles comes to 56. 56 is the marker from 63 up till now. It's the number of years that have passed since the assassination of JFK. So you can see all this happening. But Adrian Chiles, 47 plus 56 comes to 103. And the bit about palladium is the royal palladium, which is probably a quarter, maybe a fifth of a mile, just going east of where we were. The Palladium Theatre and the stage, etc. And they mentioned the stage in this broadcast when they introduced Mr. Ed Root, JFK 1. So you can just see how all of this is fitting in, people. It's just a joy to be a part of all of this. Okay, so and in closing, this is something that I haven't mentioned him actually, Baron Trump. Yeah, I'll do this now. So I got thinking about what could happen. After I did the episode with Charlie on the 10th, I started thinking about what possibilities and permutations that could happen on September 11th, on Friday. And I started thinking of the burning bush, so that thing with Moses. And the comes to 33. Burning, as I mentioned just a minute ago, comes to 85, and President Trump said that, so he wanted us to hear about it. 85 is silver. And then Bush comes to 50. And I was thinking Bush is, Bush 1, Bush 2, etc. Is there going to be something about that around 9/11? But then you add those up together and they come to 168. So 1 plus 68 is 69. Again, Tesla. There's a great piece in Christopher Nolan's film Tenet where you see a building get destroyed and then regrow again, and then kind of in the middle it kind of does something else. So this whole reversal thing is happening, and we're just going to see that more and more as we go through this millennium, the Trump millennium. But 1 times 68 comes to 68, which is Baron, so that's his son, and you've got the whole thing with the time travel. I've been told this, but I believe that Baron in the time travel series, the books that were written, I think it's 101 or 103 years ago, comes to, I think, I need to check this, but Lee mentioned it, said comes to Baron, it's spelled that way, and that comes to 50. So either 50 or 68, but Baron, his name now, as we know, is 68. And that ties in with what we've spoken about before with Mr. Root. So you can see all this connection. So Root is 68, etc. So, in closing, JFK said this. He said the word sum, just after he said badge, he said the word sum. And sum comes to 52. We mentioned that before. But he said it on 29 minutes and 56 seconds. So 52 plus 29 plus 56. So you've got 52 plus 56. Again, that comes to millennium, 108. 52 plus 29 plus 56 comes to 137. So 137 is 1 plus 37 is 38. The gentleman, the ranger with the hat, he spoke about monuments and parks. Actually, monuments, memorial. I should have mentioned this before. Memorial also comes to 86, so we mentioned that before. But park, P-A-R-K, comes to 46, which is the atomic number for palladium. So we mentioned that a few minutes ago. But he said, he said this, so 52, which is sum, S-O-M-E. He said it on 29 minutes and 56 seconds, which comes to 137, which is also 1 plus 37, which is gold, 38. But also 1 times 37, which is 37, which is also 3 sevens. And you've got 777. You've also got 1 plus 3 plus 7, which comes to 11. The word 11 comes to 63. And 777 is 21. So 3 sevens are 21. And going back to the marker the other day, I said that JFK, since 1963, 11th of November, up to September 11th, 2020, is 56 years, 9 months. The whole thing with birth, we spoke about that before. Birth is represented by the number 54. And 21 days. 21 is 777, 3 sevens. So you can just see how this fits. So thanks everybody. God bless everyone. Mr. JFK, it's an honour to have you back, and President Trump has referred to how you'll be seeing more of you. He spoke about that in the address he did on Israel on September 11th. God bless all the Kennedys. God bless the Trumps. God bless Charlie Ward. Love to everybody. Subscribe. I'll hear from you soon. Thanks guys. Take care. Bye bye.